Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. Hopefully this works. Bear with me here for 1 sec. That's not that bad. It's not that bad. Alright. Yeah, I had to do the video up here because I don't think the story really matters. I'm doing this on my phone, not on my computer like I normally do. So if it looks better, that's because of that. And if it looks worse, it's because of that. So anyway, somebody in the comments asked me about Rollo Tomassi, what I thought of him. I said I think he sucks, and he's worse than Casey. And then somebody else asked me what I thought of his debate with Mikhaila Peterson, and I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, this happened pretty recently, and so I looked it up, and I actually have it on right now. Let's see how far I am. I am 48 minutes and 19 seconds, although I have skipped a lot into a video that's over 2 hours, and really very little substance in here. It's like been a complete waste of time. Both. They're both very uninteresting people. I don't want to be like a hater or anything, but it's like I think when you call somebody uninteresting, it's there's kind of an implied arrogance in that, because when you say somebody's uninteresting, the implication is that this person isn't interesting, unlike myself. I think that is, even if you're objectively right. I don't think Mikhaila is interesting at all. Rollo is, I think, one of the least interesting people I've ever seen. Like, honestly, I think Casey is kind of interesting in like a weird way, in a bad way, but still interesting. I don't really think Jordan's interesting. He says like some pop stuff that like comes up to the line of being edgy, but I've never seen anything of any value in the stuff he says. It's just like, to me, it's just like, overly philosophical gobbledygook. And I'm not surprised to see that, he's ended up as such a mess. And, I hope he gets over whatever's wrong with him. But I don't know, like for some of you guys, I think most of you guys, you're younger or you're from outside the U.S. and you don't remember how all this shit started. Red pill and then the giving way to the black pill. And, it all emerged really. Technically it started in the early aughts on the West Coast with, early mid-ish aughts on the West Coast with Mystery, Neil Stratus, stuff like that, and pickup artistry, just pickup artistry. By the late aughts, it had moved on, it had really kind of come online. I guess you can mean that either way, but it come like on the internet online. And it was that, for a long time, it would be dominated by the 3 R's. Rollo, Roosh, and Roisy. So this would be like from 2008 to like a little, 2012, 2014, I don't know. And then they were just like, promoting, like, it was PUA, but it was PUA from a red-pilled perspective, which is that women are hypergamous. Basically the theory, like, because PUA just used to just be salesmanship, like maybe like a certain brand of salesmanship, and red pill was like putting a theory behind PUA, like fleshing out the whole theory, which involved, again, the philosophy was called red pill, which is, that's when you started hearing things like hypergamy, alpha fucks baiting bucks, or dual mating strategies, whatever you want to call it. Rollo would take it the furthest with stuff like, his epiphany phase and shit like that. Whereas Roosh was probably the least theoretical. Roosh was mainly just was interested in nuts and bolts stuff, like about how you get laid. And he would actually do like field research, for lack of a better word. He would go to different countries and see what worked and what didn't work. in other countries. Now, we don't know how accurate Rush's reports are. Then I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that. I mean, do I trust Rush? No. But do I necessarily think he's lying? Also, no. I mean, he's a guy who, I mean, he's really smart, and he's a guy who's, always been, always somebody who you can tell really believes in what he says, and somebody who I think could be charming if he wants to. Like, could he sustain it for the course of a relationship? No, because he's like a damaged, broken person inside. But so, like, I could see him having a lot of success womanizing, especially in a foreign country where he can get by on his exotic looks, his height, and just being like the foreign American guy who's also happens to be brownish. He's got a lot of shit going for him in that sense. Sorry, but I know I'm rambling here. So Rush was mostly on the nuts and bolts stuff. Roisey was probably more in between. Roisey, like, some nuts and bolts stuff he would talk about. He would give his own field reports and his own, like, past in the business. And, I think he was already, like, by the time he was a big deal. Now, Roisey, I don't know if his face has ever been revealed yet. I mean, as far as I know, if he's been it's been revealed, it's been leaked. We know he was tall, he was in good shape, he was white. But, like, by the time he was a big deal, like, online, he was already in his early 40s. So, so he had that blog. I think first it was Citizen Renegade, and then it just became Hardest at one point, and then it recently got deplatformed. Not recently, but I guess it got deplatformed, I think, after Charlottesville. Maybe before that, I don't remember. So he would talk a lot about game stuff. He would bring up some political stuff. It got more and more political over time. But he was more into, unlike Rush, who was just like really into the nuts and bolts, Roisey was more into the philosophical stuff about like this one works and stuff. And then Rollo, though, was like seemed to be almost completely focused on the philosophical stuff. From what now of them, I the one who I read the most was far and away Roisey. I didn't really read a ton of Rush because Rush's was too technical for me. Like, it was all about like, go out, do this, don't do this, don't do this, and which didn't apply to me because I wasn't interested in going out and trying the stuff. And honestly, I just didn't believe it would work. And Royce's had some of that, but then he would also say other stuff, and then you'd read stuff in the comments too. So, but Rollo's, I only saw very little of. I mean, what I saw was just boring to me. I didn't care. I didn't find him interesting, like I said. And then, no, so we're here all these years later, and I don't know what Roisey's doing. I think he's still on Gab, but that's it. I think, like I said, his site is long gone. And Rush is, like, gone insane and is now some type of fundamentalist Christian, so he's at all this. But Rollo has stayed in the game. And, for him, it was an easier transition because I guess it was never really as much about pickup. It was more about this, theoretical red pill stuff. So, and he's affiliated with those Fresh and the Fit guys, and we've all heard the stories about them. And, and Rich Cooper, shit like that. What's interesting about the Fresh and the Fit guys is you see them, and especially, what's the main Fresh and the Fit guy? He's got, like on the surface, he's got it all. I think he's look, maybe you don't think he's that handsome. I think he's a good looking guy. Looks like he's about 6'3", at good frame and great shape. At least average intelligence, maybe a little bit above. But it's like it doesn't seem like it's working for him. Like, I'm sure he's had some success with women, but he's obviously got a lot of anger towards them. You can tell that in those videos and stuff. And I don't even have a problem with him. I don't dislike the guy. He doesn't bother me. But you see the clips of their shows, and it's just like, basically all it is, as far as I can tell, is they bring women on, and usually younger women who aren't prepared, and then they, just blitz them with like these, like intelligent, thought out things that are like, whether you agree with them or not, the women who are younger and probably haven't even thought about this stuff aren't really able to respond to. They're not articulate enough to respond to. And then they have their fans who are like these misogynistic MGTOW guys pay money to them to insult the female guest, like on their super chat or something. It's like, it's really weird. I don't see the appeal. Like you do you, but I don't get it. But anyway, one of the people they're affiliated with is Rollo. And the thing is, like I said, I was vaguely familiar with Rollo from his blog. That's about it. Didn't know what he looked like or anything. Then the next time I really heard of him was from Coach Blackpill. Coach Blackpill's got it out for tons of guys, and the truth is that I don't have like. I mean, Coach Blackpill even says that he hates MGTOWs, which is not, I understand why that happened, because if you deal with them a lot, I can see how it gets to that point. But but one guy who he was he just hates the manosphere. He hates the manosphere, and I got to be honest, I can't really blame him. But anyway, so like that's how I learned really about Rollo. I mean, like, again, I was aware of him, but the first time I ever saw him was on one of Coach Blackpill's videos, where he was referring to him, after like appearance that Rollo made on Fresh and the Fit. And when I saw him, I was like, this is Rollo? And it's not like he's a bad looking guy. Not like he's looks particularly beta or anything like that. Nothing like that. But he just looked, I mean, first of all, he just looked a lot older than I expected, which, I mean, look, if he was a younger guy, or maybe like not that so young guy in 2008 when he was big, and it's not that surprising that, 12 years later or whatever it is, that, if he was 30 when he started, he could be, he'd be in his 40s now, so he'd be looking older. But the thing is, he may have been, like, that time in 2008, he may have been pushing 40 then. I don't know. I can't tell how old the guy is. I can just tell you he looks substantially older than the guys on the Fresh and the Fit. And he looked so, like it wasn't like he didn't look like a wimp or anything, but he didn't look dominant, which is always kind of what I just assumed he would look like. I just kind of assumed he would be. Again, I wasn't necessarily expecting him to be some Chad type, but I expected a more, I mean, I don't know, maybe, a more overtly masculine look. Honestly, probably looking more like somebody, like, I expected him to kind of look like Cole Xander, something like that. And, like, whereas I always knew what Roosh looked like. And, it just reminds me, like, so I see some of his stuff. I saw what Coach Blackpill said, attacking him. And what Coach Blackpill attacked him about, I was completely on Coach Blackpill's side. I thought that Rollo was just being a pretentious idiot. And I still think that's basically what he is. He's a pretentious, misogynistic moron who goes on, who's just like a windbag. Now, that may be ironic for me to call somebody a windbag in this video, given how bad I've rambled. But the difference is, when I'm rambling, it's a specific topic, and I'm rambling because I'm having a hard time getting my thoughts together, and this is how I just kind of think out loud. Like, whereas with Rollo, it's like overt spurging for like 4 hours at a time in like regularly intervals about the same fucking thing every time. And one thing, when I used to when I used to post on Purple Pill Debate, excuse me. When I used to post on Purple Pill Debate, I'd have to deal with these red pillars who were heavily influenced by Rollo. And so, just something I want to, address about it really quickly. These guys like Rollo, Rich Cooper, Fresh and the Fit, Not really Roosh. Roosh is an exception. Roosh has got his issues, but I wouldn't say he doesn't give me the same feeling. And then I know he's not associated with those guys, but guys like Casey as well. You guys have seen my videos. You know me. You see me now. Whatever you think about me, I mean, it's pretty obvious that for better or worse, I am not a very masculine guy. I wouldn't call myself feminine either, but you definitely wouldn't consider me masculine. I don't really have any traits that would be considered masculine or any type of masculine aura. Also, in that same thing, I'm not a dominant guy at all. I'm not very dominant, and I never feel dominant. I never feel dominant or superior, and this, I know this is a separate subject. I don't want to. But there is an exception to that. There is an exception to that. There is times where, and it's much rarer than it used to be, but there is times where I do feel dominant and superior, and that's when I watch Casey, Rollo, the Fresh and the Fit guys, because I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys see it too, but to me, it's so obvious. Like, I see them, and it's just like they just radiate like just an insane insecurity, like an out of this world insecurity, and vulnerability. I really don't think Roosh does. I mean, Roosh, again, has issues, but I don't get that same impression from him that I do from Casey, from the Fresh and the Fit guys, and from Rollo. I think is probably one of the worst. In terms of like, so when you have guys who are, already not interesting, and then you find their views and behavior distasteful, which I do, and then on top of that, you perceive this just like insane, it really is, it's just gigantic insecurity. It's hard not to have a feeling of contempt, contempt for those guys, which is unhealthy, because let's say I'm completely right, that, let's just say that, like, there is an objective truth out there, and these guys are objectively bad guys with gross, their beliefs are objectively gross, and they really are as insecure as they seem to be to me. Let's say that's all true. Even if that's true, I'm not any better than any of them, and because the only, I mean, it's not like if they're bad guys, that's the result of their genetics and their environment, right? They didn't choose to be that way. They didn't choose their genetics. They didn't choose their environment. I'm not saying that they're not responsible for their decisions and stuff, but it would be insane for me to think that I was better than them. You could say I'm luckier than them, which is my position, but I'm not better than them. So it's not healthy to see these guys and think that that you're better than them. But the fact that I do feel that way should send you warning signs that there is something very wrong with these guys. That these guys who, again, it's like the main Fresh and the Fit guy. He's one, right? Young, tall, good looking, has some success. Why is he so insecure? Why is he so insecure? Why is Casey so insecure? Again, they've won the game and they found a way to lose. Yes, I mean, so to me, I mean, it's all a big grift, but it's worse than a grift. It's worse than a grift, because that's, I had a lot of people in my comments who are, and it happens all the time. They're saying shit like these Chads are talking, saying shit to con, these incels out of their money. They're not trying to con anybody. They believe this shit. If they were trying to con, it would be better. You're seeing it get away from that now. Like, again, the black pill has permeated the red pill so much that, you're seeing more of it just like, yeah, they all just want Chaz, so we're just gonna bash on these thoughts, shit like that. And you see overlap now between, 10 years ago, Fresh and the Fit guy would have been a PUA. 10 years ago, Rollo was a PUA. I mean, I think he was married, but he was talking about that whole game shit. And now it's more just about bashing women, describing women's stuff. So anyway, the next thing that I want to talk about with Rollo is, because this relates to his thing with Mikhaila Peterson. He's got this thesis called the epiphany phase, which I dealt with talking about a lot on Purple Pill Debate, like I said. Now, here's how I look at it. I'll tell you what I think first, and then I'll tell you the epiphany phase, and I think you'll be able to see how they're different. So like Rollo's version of the epiphany phase, we'll see how it's different. My view is that, first of all, I don't think that most, let alone all, young white women, dial it back one more time. The type of women that the red pill is describing is usually a very specific subset of women. It's not all women. It tends to be middle class, middle class white. I mean, not always middle class, not always white, but that's the basic in the West, Western women. That's who they're talking about, and which makes sense because that's the demographic who most guys into PUA or the red pill are going to be dealing with. So that's fine. But in this group of women, you're going to have the women in their prime, at their peak SMV, which is going to be from like 18 to 28. They're going to be in the hoe phase. Hoeing it up, getting drunk, getting fucked by Chad, shit like that. Either they can't really make up their mind. Sometimes they're saying they want to go out and just get fucked by Chad. Sometimes they're saying they're just trying to go out and chase Chad. And now in my opinion, that is not, I don't think all women are doing that. I don't think. Again, it may, if that demographic we're talking about, it may be a majority, but I don't even think that's true. I think that if it's anything like it was when I was a kid, the overwhelming majority of women in that 18 to 28 group, 28-year-old age group, are in an LTR. Now, in that time period, they may go through 3 or 4 LTRs. But they are generally in an LTR for most of the time. They generally aren't single. And if they are single, it doesn't last long. They're single only briefly in the period between relationships. That's at least what it was like when I was young. And I would be shocked if it was any different now. So, so in that case, so in that time, maybe they find somebody in those years who they, who they get married to, and a lot of them do. Find somebody who they want to get married to, and but a lot of them don't. A lot of them, because in that 18 to 28 year period, people change a lot. Guys change and girls change. That's a pretty big 10-year gap that people are going to. You're going to change a lot more usually from 18 to 28 than from 28 to 38, like a lot more. And so people change, things change, life changes, and you go through relationships, and some relationships you kind of grow out of and shit like that. Then you come later, 28 and stuff. When they were pre-28, or whatever you want to talk about it, having nothing to do with the wall or any shit like that. They were thinking, part of it was probably they thought, look, I got plenty of time. I'm not in a rush to settle down. I think that was part of it. True, but part of the reason they were thinking that was because the lifestyle, and I don't necessarily mean the partying lifestyle, because I think that most girls are done with that after college anyway. But the socialization, more, Melrose Place type lifestyle still has appeal to them. And then after 20, and they maybe will go to clubs all the way up through their mid-20s, maybe even a little bit later. Then after that, though, again, people change with age, and 28, 29, they're not really the same person anymore. That lifestyle that they've lived for so long just no longer is appealing to them. So if now what they're looking for is a guy who they can build a family with. So if that's what they want now, to build a family, of course they're going to look for different things in a partner than when they weren't thinking about that in their mid-20s. Because they're just, and a lot of the stuff, and they've been through all that shit, all the type of, Chad type stuff Chad does that, either they were willing to put up with when they were young, or it actually outright turned them on. Now they're kind of just over it, and that's because that's what happens. That's what life is. You get bored of stuff. You get over stuff, especially if it's nonsense. And so they're looking for different stuff. So what I'm saying is, and I hear people, like I heard people in Purple Pill debate saying shit like, well, that's what the epiphany phase is. No, it's not. I mean, Rollo says it very clearly in this video with Mikhaila. He says that what happens is women want to go out and whore it up and stuff, and he says it's pretty much all women. He would deny that, but that's pretty much what he says. And that when they get older, they realize that their SMV is already on the downside, and they can no longer compete with the younger thoughts anymore. So now that they know they can no longer compete with the younger thoughts, they rationalize it to themselves as, oh, I don't really want this anymore. I actually want to settle down and have a family. But what they really want to do is keep keep thoughting it up, but they can't because, they've aged out of it. And so they rationalize it as they want a family, and then they'll go after guys who they aren't attracted to because they're like, well, I just need to lock some guy down to have a family with. And so you see how that's different from me, where I'm saying stuff like, I'm not saying this doesn't happen, I'm sure it does, but I'm saying that, like, no, people can change. And especially a woman who's maybe dealt with a lot of Chad types, is she's just done with it. She's not really, she's only looking for something serious, and she wants somebody who's she's gonna build a life with and have kids with. So the same stuff isn't going to be appealing to her like when she was young. She's changed. She's changed, and she's looking for different things. Whereas Rollo's epiphany phase theory is that no, she really hasn't changed. She's the same. She's physically declined, but she's the same inside. So she rationalizes it, makes herself think that she's changed, but actually she's really the same and is just doing like what's best, doing like the best way that she can reproduce and fix her cognitive dissonance, shit like that. And it's bullshit. So, I mean, again, maybe for some, but it's true. And I have to ask, like for Rollo or for any guys who are promoting this, like, you don't feel like you've changed? Like, you don't feel like you are looking for different things out of life in your early 30s than you were in your mid 20s? Because, I mean, like, and if you could imagine yourself changing, then why not anybody else? Now, I think with a lot of these guys, again, Rollo, Royce, guys like that, Rich, I don't really know as much about Rich Cooper, but Rollo and Royce, and then probably the fresh and fit guys when they get older, they would actually, they themselves, like the Chad lifestyle that they either achieved or wanted to achieve when they were 25, they would want to do that forever. They really would want to do that forever. So they then project that women want to do the whole Stacy phase forever. And again, I'm sure some do. Just like some men always want to do the Chad phase forever. I don't think it's the norm. At all. This is what happens when you have, atypical people with atypical personalities, narcissistic people with atypical personalities projecting their atypical narcissism onto the rest of humanity. I'm not saying humanity is all that great, but it's not as bad as the Rollos and Royces and Fresh and Fits of the world. So anyway, the debate between Mikhaila and Rollo, I mean, like I said, Rollo, like, on the surface, held his ground pretty well. He held his ground pretty well. but I don't know, something about it just came out as just came off as beta. Just came off as beta. But I mean, if I'm being objective, he didn't like back down and say shit like, "Oh no, you misunderstood. I was taken out of context." No, he stood by the shit he said about her mostly, and just said like, he said, "Well, look, that what like I misunderstood there," or stuff like that. So he stood by that. But he was definitely really annoying. Something about him is just off. He just gives me like a really bad vibe. The but So anyway, Rollo had done a 4+ hour thing about Mikhaila, talking about how basically addressing the rumors of Mikhaila that she, had got stuck with the kid, but really wanted to go thought it up, and the kid got in the way. And how he managed to talk about this for 4 hours, I don't know, but I guess he probably just did a lot of focusing on the rumors about Mikhaila. I'm not going to go into them here. You can read about it here. So this is the first time. So in this interview that Mikhaila did with Rollo, as far as I know, this is the first time she's publicly addressed all this stuff. That like that she forced her father into a cult diet, then some weird clinic while she took over his business, and abandoned her husband and child to go thought around in Romania with some PUA guru, shit like that. Again, I have no idea how much the rumors are true, how much her side of events are true. I have no idea. But anyway, she confronted, Rollo about it, said like, this shit's not true and stuff. And, honestly, I have to kind of take Rollo's side in this one, because I don't take his side as in the sense that I don't really get why he would care enough to talk about this. But on the other hand, it does relate to his subject matter. And even if he got the facts wrong, and he may very well have, these rumors were out there. We aren't hearing from Jordan, and Mikhaila's not addressing them. And I'm not saying she has to address them, but then she is a public figure. Jordan is a public figure. So people are going to speculate. And all that stuff sees true. Again, we don't see, and as Rollo pointed out in the video, we see your kid in your husband's Instagram. We don't see your kid in yours. So, we know that your husband is with your kid. While we know that you are in Romania while you are on break or whatever from your husband. We don't hear from Jordan, but we all hear about his company through you. So what else are people supposed to think? People are going to, connect the dots themselves, and maybe they get it wrong. And look, Mikhaila doesn't have to say, it doesn't owe anybody an explanation about anything. But then, if you don't say anything about these rumors when you are a public figure, you lose the right to be mad about people believing them. So, and this is something that the stuff that Rollo talks about. So Mikhaila was saying, I think you went too far by comparing me to Casey Anthony. And Rollo said, well, I didn't really compare you to Casey Anthony. I clearly said multiple times that I'm not saying she wants to kill her child. I'm saying that Mikhaila, having a kid, just like Casey Anthony having a kid, Casey Anthony having a kid held back her hypergamous instincts, to go out and find a better man or a man or whatever. Having a kid just was holding her back from that, so she got rid of the kid. I said clearly many times, I wasn't saying that you wanted to do that, but I'm saying the same type of dynamic happened with you and your kid, where your kid was holding you back from going out and getting a better man. So you tended to neglect the kid and or not neglect per se, but push off a lot of the childcare onto your husband, Andre. And who's a great father, but is a kind of a beta type, and you're looking to upgrade to an alpha. Now, obviously, Rollo sees everything, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Rollo sees things that way. He was either wrong or probably wrong about that. Whether he was right or not, there's not enough information to go and assume that she's Chad chasing. But you could see how he would use this as evidence for his theory. But all the stuff that people were speculating, including Rollo himself, all that stuff was completely reasonable. that, people would be speculating shit like that. As for, so like Mikhaila, was really defensive, saying like, well, I absolutely don't regret my daughter. And, as for the marriage with Andre working out, it's just that, it's got nothing to do, we tried to make it work. It's got nothing to do with anything except that we personally are incompatible and there's too much fighting. That part I believe. I don't believe that he's some beta that she walks all over. He's Russian. I don't think that would happen. I do believe her what she said, that she's not controlling her father. She's trying to help him. I think she is stressed and trying to help her dad. I just think she's doing a bad job of it because she believes in a bunch of kooky nonsense and has got her dad into it too. But like, as for the stuff, like when she was in Europe, was she whoring it up with that PUA guy Tate? I mean, if you held a gun to my head, yeah, probably. I mean, probably she did sleep with him. I mean, why else would he fly her all the way out there? But flew her from Germany to Romania. And her excuse is, she said, I wanted to go there because I wanted to learn how, to operate a site behind a paywall. It's like, you didn't need to go all the way to Romania for that. And he paid your fare. I mean, look, maybe nothing happened. I don't care. It's not, it's none of anybody's business, but people are going to speculate. So, but anyway, I don't think that, but the thing, I mean, but we've seen, and she said the reason I don't have my kids' pictures on Instagram is because I don't want, weirdos out there seeing my kid. So I have a private Instagram just for my kid that, only friends and family can follow. It's totally reasonable. However, you kind of have to wonder, like, well, why is she still showing up in your husband's Instagram? So, of course people are going to think shit. Not to mention, I can think of at least one example where Mikhaila was posted like a thirst trap picture of herself, and her kid is just sitting on the bed in the background. So, like, I mean, I don't really know what's going on with Mikhaila. I'm just probably just a normal mixed up person like the rest of us. I think Rollo probably is trying to fit that square peg into a round hole, or whatever you want to say. You try to make everything like, oh, she's missing. She actually has hypergamous instincts, and that's why she's chasing all this stuff. I mean, honestly, I would probably have thought the same stuff about it. I mean, I didn't really necessarily think she was Chad chasing or whatever, but I thought that she just was bored of the domestic stuff. I didn't think that she like didn't care about her kid or anything, but that she was bored of her husband, bored of the domestic stuff, and wanted to do her own thing and go out and have fun. Some people are like that. I still think that there's probably something to it. So whatever. I mean, I think that Mikhaila was a little out of line to get as angry as she did, including at Rollo, especially when he clarified. He said, look, you can go watch it in the video. I repeatedly said that, like, multiple times, that I'm just using it as an example. I don't think that Mikhaila wanted to kill her kid. So you can agree with it or not, but he wasn't making the comparison. And what Mikhaila was upset about was saying, yes, but in the thumbnail you have a picture of me and I think Casey Anthony, and you've got the title, the like kid killing for Chad, or I can't remember exactly what it was. So the clickbaity title is saying that I am like that. And Rollo's saying, well, like, this is how YouTube works. It's a clickbaity thing. It's supposed to get people to click on it. It doesn't matter what it says in the title if in the video, like, I explain it further and how I'm just using it, Casey Anthony, as an example, and not saying, well, the dynamic may be the same for you. The intensity is not. You don't want to kill your kid. So I can actually kind of see both of their viewpoints there. I think that Rollo's right. That is how YouTube works. But on the other hand, morally, it may have been wrong. It may have been out of line. So I think they both have a point there. So, I guess that's what I think about it. I mean, thanks for pointing it out to me, guys, but I thought it was going to be more interesting than that. I mean, they're just like, they're really just not interesting people at all. They're really not. And when you have two not interesting narcissistic people talk about themselves and their like bullshit, theories, then for 2 hours you're gonna get some really uninteresting stuff. So I mean, honestly, go check it out. Go check it out. What's it called? It's called Rollo Tomassi on the Mikhaila Peterson podcast, episode 131. I mean, go check it out. And I think you're gonna find it really fucking boring. All right, that's all for now. See you in the next.